The Dingers podcast is on the air. I'm your host, Mitch, and I'm here with my boy, Kevin. We're here to talk some Cubs baseball. Remember, we are live every Monday night, usually at 8:30. We're going a little early tonight because we want to catch the end of the Cubs game tonight. But yeah, we're live every Monday night on the On Tap Sports Network YouTube channel. Go check out the guys from On Tap Sports Network on Twitter, as well as subscribing on YouTube. They're great. And go to ontapsportsnetwork.com where you can get the latest in Chicago baseball, football, basketball, hockey news. You name it, they got it covered of all the Chicago sports teams. But yeah, make sure you're following us as well on Twitter at Dinger Cubs. Kevin, how was your 4th of July?
It was good. Sorry, excuse me. My allergies have just gone haywire. In fact, I'm wearing my glasses tonight because my contacts were all sorts of wonky. But we got some needed rain around these parts, so the plants and it all went woo.
Yeah.
So we got lots of allergies. But 4th of July was good. Hung out with some friends. Kids got to be outside all day. They had a big giant water fight, and then Keaton, my middle son, and I ended up playing catch for a while. He wanted to break in his catcher's mitt a little more, so we were tossing the ball around for a while. How about you? How was your 4th?
Well, my birthday is on the 3rd, so we kind of celebrate the whole weekend.
Nice.
My son had a baseball tournament, his last travel ball tournament on Saturday. Went and hung out with some friends that night and went to fireworks, and yeah, I just kind of enjoyed the whole weekend of celebrating our freedom and celebrating independence. So yeah, it was awesome. Good time.
Nice.
Now, as we shift to talk about the Cubs, I guess I was going to go to the Cubs Brewers game on Saturday, my birthday. Right? No.
Yeah.
I'm messed up on days.
Monday.
On Monday, yeah. Saturday.
On the first Monday this week.
Yeah, first Monday of this week, because the 4th of July kind of scoots everything. No. On Monday, I was going to go. We were like, my wife asked me about 2 months ago what I wanted from her birthday, and I was like, oh, the Cubs play the Brewers up in Milwaukee. That'd be an easy trip to kind of go up there. And we've been building a house, and so that's like every day I've been working, framing, and doing all that sort of stuff. So just really busy. And when I got time to, I was like, I don't know if I really want to drive all the way up to Milwaukee. Like I didn't feel like it. It was one of the first days that we had where we weren't going to go anywhere. So I was like, I don't want to go. Like, let's pass on going to the Brewers Cubs game. And I am glad that I did after that Saturday. I mean, I was thinking like halfway through the game, I was like, man, I really wish I would have went. Like, they scored some runs early. Like, let's go. Nope. When that game got over, I was like, I'm so thankful I didn't spend money to watch that. Cause
right.
I mean, we've said it now for 3 or 4 podcasts that this stretch leading up to the All-Star break is kind of make or break for the Cubs. Like, they need to pick up and win some series. And then especially this 4-game set versus the Brewers, they need to win some games. And Saturday did not start this series off well. And we haven't been playing well. We haven't been playing well for a while since coming back from the London series. Before the London series, we were amazing. After the London series, we're struggling. What do you kind of see as some big areas of struggle since the London series?
We'll talk about the relief pitching here a little bit, but I've noticed lately we tend to score some runs early in a game and then just kind of sit back. We let off the gas. We get 4 to 6 runs and we think we're good, which depending on your team, you would be good. But unfortunately, with relief pitching, or if Tyone's on the mound, there's no lead that's too safe. I think I saw some folks on Twitter talking about how, being up by 6 doesn't feel safe and being down by 1 feels insurmountable. like we just kind of have this weird thing. Overall, it just seems we have these little pockets of like one player will have a really good game, Hap will have a great game, or or Horner will have a great game, but we won't get the three main guys, Horner, Happ, and Swanson, all having a great game at the same time. Which is what we were doing when we went on that big, nice, win streak. What was that, like 11 out of 12 or something like that? We went on a run for, and we were getting that consistent, just keep the line moving, scoring. I mean, even during that time period, we weren't hitting very many dingers. It was just, a single here, a double here, JY coming up and hitting a triple. That's always nice. But it seems we've gotten complacent, gotten a little back on our heels, and it doesn't help when some of the relief pitching or some of the starting pitching even just gets blown up.
Yeah. I was thinking this, and I might be way off, but I was thinking this in the drive, listening to the game yesterday. Before the London series, when we were hot, Belly had just been called up. They moved him to first base. Tauchman was in center. And after that Sunday loss, when Mancini kind of had a couple errors over there at first base, and we decided to call up EY, like, Young has been awesome. He's hit the ball pretty well and played a pretty serviceable first base. But was that an overreaction call up because of Mancini? Because we haven't seen Bellinger over there at first base very much. And I'm guessing Bellinger, like I said last week, would have the conversation like, hey, I'm a free agent. I need to be out in center field because that's where I'm going to get paid. But do you think a little bit of an overreaction to call up Jared Young?
I think so. I think, they wanted that lefty power bat that's supposed to be at first base, which the prototypical first baseman type. And when I listened to the episode from last week and you guys started talking about that whole, Belly's going to want to be back at center field. That's where he's going to get paid. He's not going to get paid as a first baseman. I got a little worried because I felt the same thing. I was like, this could be a knee jerk, or I liked seeing Jared Young's initial success, but it's one of those every time that happens, the league will adjust to you. How quickly can you adjust back? And I don't necessarily know that he's having quite as much success, or he's not having. We're not seeing the triples, and I mean, he matched like a 1908 or 1918 record or something with 2 triples and a homer in his first 3 games. Unreal, not something you can count on every game, but it's just kind of unfortunate. Like we lost the production there. I mean, Tauchman was doing well playing center and hitting, and every time you move people around position wise, you're shaking up their confidence.
Yeah. And Tauchman, was kind of cooling off, so I kind of get it. But it's like we just abandoned him. We saw like 2 games where he struggled. Now we just, I don't know. I
worry that we're getting in their heads with all the switching around, and we're going to call up this guy, and look, Mervis is doing pretty decent at Iowa. When's he coming up? We want to get rid of Mancini. Wait, we actually have him for another year after this, so we're not just going to get rid of him. Get rid of Barnhart. We need Amaya in there. I forgot Amaya was with the big league club until like yesterday.
Yeah, because for a while he wasn't getting much playing time, but yesterday he had a heck of a game. Yeah. Let's dive into this Brewers series, because going into it, I looked at this series as, at least for Jed, this was the series that was going to define the trade deadline.
Absolutely. I was a week or 2 ago, I had looked ahead, and when I saw we had a 4-game set against Milwaukee before we go to the Yankees right before the All-Star break, I kind of circled this on my calendar, like, we need to win a lot of these. And then after we slid, after going to London, it was kind of like, okay, we have to win all of these, not a lot of these. We got to kind of win all of these to make up some ground. And it doesn't help that the Reds have won 19 of the last 21 games or something ridiculous like that too. which, we can't bank on the Central always sucking
Yeah.
to make a run at it. I actually saw earlier today when I checked the standings, it was like we're 7 games behind in the Central, but we were 5 games behind the wild card or something. Like it was that weird instance where, we're actually closer in the wild card race now than we are in the Central. That's weird. Somebody's actually winning.
Yep.
But I'm with you. I saw this Milwaukee trip being huge, going to be the kind of the determining factor in whether we're buying or selling.
And that's what makes like Saturday's loss so difficult. And I'll start with this. So the Cubs are in 4th in the division. They have a record of 39-45. Just saw on Marquee, I think in the 2nd inning, they were talking about that the Cubs lead the Brewers in every statistical category except a couple bullpen categories and a couple defensive like run saved categories. Well, besides that, all offensive categories, the Cubs lead the Brewers. You look at run differential. The Cubs are plus 23. The Brewers are minus 15. When you look at the whole division, Cincinnati's minus 15. That's gap is slowly coming back.
Eroding that one away.
But you have Pittsburgh minus 20 or minus 38. You have St. Louis minus 38. Cubs plus 23 on run differential. The expected win-loss record based on runs scored and runs allowed. The Cubs should be 44-40 in first place, with Cincinnati in second at 44 or 42-44, Milwaukee 41-45, and then Pittsburgh and St. Louis tied at 39-46.
Wow.
So you take all that in. Who is to blame? Do we get to the point where we have backed Ross and been kind of, I don't know, homers, but we've kind of given Ross the benefit of the doubt. But have we got to the point now where we start looking, and I bring that up because of Saturday's game.
Right.
Saturday's game was tough because, yes, like you said, we scored a whole bunch of runs early. And then it got to be the 7th inning, and you have Smiley gave up some runs, and I think it was 6-3. 6-3.
Yep.
And Cubs had Leiter and Kay warming up in the bullpen. Ross goes out to make the pitching change, and he sees that Brewers had Winkler up to pinch hit, a lefty.
Mm-hmm.
And so Ross almost gets like in his head and tries to get too fine with his pitching and like almost overthinking things, and goes with K. Not a guy that you would necessarily trust. In the Phillies series, he came in late and walked like 3 guys and couldn't find it. What does Craig Counsell do? Goes with a no-name guy that even at that point, I was listening to the game, Pat Hughes. He didn't even have any stats, didn't have any paperwork on this Jones guy. He's like, who's this guy? Like, all right, hey, like looking in behind him, like
paper, like,
yeah.
or who? What's the last name? How do you spell it?
Ron was like, I got nothing.
Right.
And hits a 3-run triple, ties the ball game up. Leiter comes in, gives up another, like it just kind of snowballed from there. Right. But like at that point, like I've defended Ross. That's one where it's like, just go with your best.
Right.
Like go with Leiter.
Well, and I feel like this year with the bullpen as rocky as it's been all season, why shake that boat? Why try to play that cute? You don't have 2 lights out guys that you have both, warming up in the bullpen. You've got a question mark and you got Leiter, and it's like you should have gone with your guy. Go out there and trust your guy. as they say.
The problem with I've kind of said this all year is the Cubs' inability to find a solid lefty in this pen or have a solid lefty in this pen is killing them.
Right.
Like, I know we counted on Brandon Hughes at the beginning of the season, but that was just one guy.
Mm-hmm.
Hardly any other major league team has just one lefty in the bullpen. Like, come on, like that's on Jed a little bit. Like, David Ross can only work with what he has, but like it shows the inability to, like, in those situations, to go to a guy that you can trust. And right now, the Cubs bullpen, they only trust like Alzolay, Leiter, Michael Fulmer as late, Merriweather sometimes. And that's the end of the
not
list.
Against the Brewers.
But that's the end of the list. Now maybe Palencia.
Right.
But like
I want to
Rucker,
see.
no. Assad, no.
Right.
Wisniewski we sent down. Like, we have nobody really that, like, and for a good part of the year we couldn't trust Fulmer, so we've had like two guys.
Unfortunately, that strength the Cubs have always had the last few years of building a bullpen out of scraps has just not worked out. And I like you said, I don't really have a whole lot of confidence when they pull anybody else in other than Alzolay, depending on the day. Wisniewski's looked really good as long as he doesn't have to face lefties. Which I know, speaking of him, I mean, they sent him back to Iowa and he's expected to start on Friday, probably trying to get him stretched back out. My gut reaction to that was, is Tyone they gonna do something there? I don't know what they would do, but are they gonna move him? Like,
maybe. But like, you look at some of these games, and a lot of them have happened as of late. They were up 4-0 in London. They lost. Up 6-0 versus the Brewers. Lost. Those are some very tough losses against rivals, in-division rivals. Do we blame Ross? Do we start looking like this team is not, like, they should be winning more games than they are? So they obviously are not winning in the margins. They're not doing the small things that win you ball games. And that's where a manager comes in big, because they can help you win in the margins. They can make the right move. They can set you up, or like they can send a guy when they should be sent, or hold a guy when they should. Like, those are the things that, like, the coaching staff helps you win those games. And so I don't know, like, I've been the biggest defender of David Ross, but I think I'm going to be watching a little bit closely his moves and trying to look from a little bit more of a critical eye, because I think I've looked at it a little bit too much from a homer and like, I like David Ross. David Ross is a good guy, and I think I need to look at it a little bit closer. So that's a me thing. Maybe I've been too easy on David Ross. Let me know if I've been too easy on Rossi.
All right, folks. Just let Mitch know. Ring him up on Twitter. He'll love it. I'm sure he will.
But then yesterday, let's talk a little bit about some good, because yesterday was I mean, they did blow another lead.
They did. I thought the game was over when that happened.
But you have Ian Happ making some plays out there, showing off the arm. You have Miguel Amaya, like, headsy, not in that 10th inning when he tagged the guy out home and then had enough awareness to, like, gun the guy out at second. Like, that's huge, because still the like winning run is still out there in second base. Like, that's huge. Now, he could have thrown it away, but he's playing carefree. When a rookie can make that play and chuck the ball out there to second after that, like, he's playing with some confidence. Put that guy behind the plate, not Mr. Tucker Barnhart that we have tonight. Like, put Amaya out there. I mean, I think the pitching staff enjoys pitching to Amaya.
Right. And that's what during the game today, the second inning interview was Kyle Hendricks. And I think it was JD was asking him about Amaya. Like, what do you think about him? He had some great plays yesterday. And Hendricks kind of went off on this whole thing about, like, Amaya's doing all the things right. He sits with the starting pitchers when he's not playing, and he listens to them and he talks to them about what they're seeing in the action during the game, so that he's learning how they think, so that he can apply that when he's catching for them. And just, it sounds like he's doing all the small things correctly, so that he is the catcher of the future. And like I was saying a little bit ago, I felt like I couldn't remember if he was even with the big league club still, if he'd been sent back down to Iowa, but would love to see him get a little more playing time behind the plate. Not necessarily wanting to take away from Gomes. I think he's still doing a pretty good job as well, but want to see Amaya out there more.
Yeah. And then, I mean, Palencia coming through, like he pitched a good 10th and 11th. I mean, he's going to strike a lot of guys out. He is going to walk some guys. So that's where, like, what I'm watching with him being called up, like, can he can obviously get major league batters out. It's, can he throw strikes, and can he come up in high leverage situations, which he obviously showed he could,
huge.
With just nails and be the guy. Like, that's huge. I wish they would have got him in. No, that was his first day, right? Yesterday was his first day getting called up, which that's tough. Like, I thought they're going to bring him in earlier in the game when they were up. But nope, they saved him for the most crucial times. So, like, but he's going to be fun to watch. He's going to strike out a lot of guys. I like it, but depending on what happens tonight and tomorrow, like I said, the Cubs need to take 3 or 4 to keep Jed kind of like pushing back that, we're going to probably sell.
Right. I was thinking about this earlier today, because the All-Star break's coming up, and it was when I saw William Contreras was up to bat earlier. I remember thinking in my head, like, oh yeah, William and Wilson were both All-Stars last year, and they had that whole thing, the last game before the All-Star break, him and Ian Happ sitting in the dugout taking in Wrigley, and then all the questions at the All-Star game were about getting traded and all that stuff, all that drama that went around there. And I was thinking, like, this might be a good All-Star game for the folks we're sending this year, because I don't know that that's going to be a lot of what they talk about. Maybe to Stroman, just because he has the player option year, he's probably going to deny. But it's awful nice to not know that you're selling at this point. I wish we knew we were buying, but.
Well, I saw a report out that if the Cubs are sellers, the Dodgers would become calling for Marcus Stroman.
Oh, yeah.
And the guy listed, who was it? Dalton Rushing. He's their number 4th overall prospect in the organization, a catching prospect.
Oh.
Which this year so far, he's batting .269, on base percentage of .430, slug of .509, 8 home runs, 35 RBIs, 36 runs scored in 53 games.
Where's he at currently?
I don't know what.
Oh, okay.
What class he's in, but
right.
So that could be like we'll probably start having those conversations depending on what the Cubs do versus Brewers and Dodgers are like, hey, these are some guys that could possibly be future Cubs. But yeah, like
Dansby was pissed. Sorry, they got a double play, and Dansby was the guy going to first. He chucked his helmet on the ground.
Yeah, we are recording live on Wednesday night. Cubs playing the Brewers 1-1 in the fifth.
Yeah, I think they just finished off the top of the fifth.
So yeah, that's where we're at as Cubs fans. We're kind of like, it's tough because we're kind of now. We went through a roller coaster of we're selling. Oh no, we're buying. We're on a win streak, and then like now, and that's the thing is like the Cubs are kind of have an identity crisis of who they are we don't know who they are. I think last week I asked the question, who are the Cubs? And you brought up that like kind of 4 pieces of the baseball team, the pitching, the hitting, defense, the bullpen. Like we haven't been able to put it all together. When 3 are good, 1's bad, and it costs us a game, or when we're hitting really, really well, our pitching isn't coming through, or bullpen blows at the end. We can't and when we were hot, we kind of were pretty consistent, and we had all of our horses back. They're all healthy. And when we've been healthy at the beginning of the season and during that hot stretch, that's when everybody was healthy and back together, and we played well. On paper, there is no reason why we shouldn't be better than the Milwaukee Brewers. It's a joke that we are not ahead of them in the division. When you look at on paper, our players versus theirs, it's
hands down.
So
it is. It's rough. It's interesting. I feel like we're walking a tightrope, going across to be buying or selling. At the same time, though, I like that at least we're not to the selling point yet. I mean, that's kind of a benefit over the last 2 years, kind of. But man, it would be nice if we could win these games that we're supposed to win. Put away these teams that really, I think these degens from upcountry, another fakey team like the Pirates. Now, talk about a boat sinking. Holy smokes. Top of the division to behind. Oh.
But now they're back ahead of the Cubs. I did want to talk a little bit. Well, first, I don't think we have officially congratulated Marcus Stroman, Dansby, and Justin Steele on their all-star game. So congrats, fellas. Justin, if you're listening, he's a frequent listener. He's been on the pod. So congratulations for making an all-star game. We called that you would be an all-star back in our very first episode, or like our prediction episode,
right?
That Absolutely. Justin Steele would make the all-star game. So congrats. But I want to talk about Ross's ejection.
Oh, yeah. And after game comments.
I mean, Eric Bacchus was the umpire. And Pat Hughes and Ron Coomer, I was listening to the game, they were like, Bacchus is off today. He is not, like, they were like giving it to him the whole game from both sides. Like, he was bad for the Brewers and for the Cubs. And Ross just couldn't take it anymore. We just watched The Sandlot, and it was like Squints Paldoris. I can't take it anymore. Yep. That's what it was. Like, and he let him have it. Like the shenanigans with the roof closing and I wonder if he's going to get fined, but like, I love it. That's the one thing why I love David Ross. Like, he's he's not afraid to tell how it is.
Yeah. It was such a weird kind of combination of events. The guy getting called out for strike 3 on strike 2, and the first base coach coming down. But then the first base umpire tossed him?
Yeah.
And then Ross coming in.
Napoli got tossed first.
Right. But I think he got tossed by the first base umpire. I don't think it was the behind the plate umpire. And he's like, that's strike 2. Like what's going on here? And who was it? I think, John Boy did a breakdown of a game. It was a week or two ago where the umpire lost the balls and strikes count as well. So it's like, this seems like I don't remember hearing about this happening before this many times. But that's at least 2 different Cubs games where it's been kind of wonky that way. But then, the closing the roof, which I didn't really understand the comments in the moment. I had to go kind of like, what do you mean closing the roof? And then when they were talking about like, oh yeah, it changes the shading, could change wind patterns depending. And if you do it between the top and the bottom, then the other team gets a chance to bat with the new situation. Like,
well, I think rules state that they can't change it in the middle of a game unless both teams are like okayed or like they've been like,
and there's a weather reason or something.
Yeah. And yesterday there was no weather reason.
Right. And well, and even if it was closed, because we've seen it was closed, if it starts raining pretty hard, you're going to have that nice seam of water dripping down the whole field from home plate out to center field.
We've been to that beautiful park and got to witness the rain inside the park when the roof is closed. Just
Yeah.
a joke of an organization that, as I look at Christian Yelich, like, come on, like the Cubs need to be beating the Brewers, and like losses to the Brewers makes me more angry than any other team.
Yep.
Like I get the Cardinals. The Cardinals have some players.
Mm-hmm.
They have Arenado. They have Goldschmidt. They have some guys. The Brewers just frustrate the crap out of me when they lose to the Brewers. It's like, just go back to like, yeah, we're leading in all statistical categories, but we can't freaking win ball games and be ahead in the division.
Right. Figure it out.
Figure it out.
Put the pieces together.
Let's talk a little bit about Jameson Taillon, because you brought it up earlier about Wisniewski. And I feel like I keep waiting and trying to give Taillon the benefit of the doubt. But are you like to the point where you're done and want to move on from Taillon?
I'm interested in if, and I don't know any statistical background on this, but what happens if you just toss him in the bullpen for a week or two? Like just a change, a change of scenery, as folks will say when you trade a guy.
And our bullpen's needed it.
Right? Might as well throw him in there, have him be the stretch guy, have him be the long relief guy. Just I don't. It started off the year being fluky because he always drew the starts that would have the weird defensive lineups that didn't necessarily make any sense, or they would be the a lot of, I don't know. You just get the weird ones where it's like, oh, that defense is not going to be turning plays as well as they normally would. And then he'd give up the fluky hits where it'd just be like, oh, that's a ground ball that found a space, and that's another ground ball that found a space, but the expected batting average on all that's like 100 or something, and then he gives up 6 or 7 runs, and that's too many for us to come back from. But it's been long enough now that's like something's got to change. Something's not right. I don't know if he needs a phantom IL stint. Maybe that's why Wisniewski went down, to get stretched out, so they can be like, oh, hey, he's got a blister on his index finger that looks like it popped. It's gonna need solid 10 days before he can pitch again. Might as well do something to see, because unfortunately I'm a little wary of just dropping him, because he's got a 4-year contract. Like, we're going to be paying that one out for a while. Nobody's trading for him. So we're not getting rid of him that way. And he's shown in the past that he can pitch. So let's see what we can get in that regard. But I feel like something needs to change.
I do look down at the Iowa bullpen, or not Iowa starting rotation. Now they have Wisniewski. They just called up Jordan Wicks.
Ooh.
They have Bram Brown.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they got some guys now. Like, I don't think Jordan Wick is going to be the guy that they're going to call up. I think next year maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I did read an article that maybe Wicks and PCA by the end of the season would be called up. I don't think that's going to happen.
No, I hope they're both in Iowa.
Yeah,
by the end of the season. Hopefully. Hoping the All-Star break, PCA ends up at Iowa. I'd love to go down there and catch a couple games of him playing out in roving center field.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm to the point where something needs to be shaken up with Taillon. Does he need some time off? Could he take a 10-day IL stint and bring up Wisniewski or Brown? I know the game that you went to, Brown didn't pitch very well.
No, he did not.
But he has pitched fairly well in other games. So I don't know. I've been optimistic about Taillon the whole time, trying to give him benefit of the doubt, but it's been a long road for Taillon in a Cubs uniform. But let's look forward. So the Cubs play
Milwaukee
tomorrow.
Yankees
next. They play one more against the Brewers, and they play the Yankees next. Then they have the All-Star break.
Yep.
And then they come back with Boston, Nationals, Cardinals, White Sox, Cardinals. So you look at that National Series, you look at the 2 series are stretched there where they're playing some very winnable games after the All-Star break. Right. In my My struggle is that right before the deadline, they get hot. And then the Cubs sit and do nothing.
Yep. That's
and then after the All-Star break, after they get done playing the Cardinals, they play the Reds, the Braves, the Mets, the Blue Jays. And it's like there's a stretch there where you're playing really, really good teams and we get thumped and then we're out of it. And then we've done nothing to help the team. And so I want them to do something. They either need to buy or they need to sell. None of this like just stay stagnant. There does need to be a shakeup. And hopefully they better their team for this year and the years to come as we head to the deadline. But are you a big home run derby guy? Do you get into that?
I enjoy watching it. I always forget the rules of it before I start watching, like the whole outs thing and how many timeouts they can take, and I always forget how exhausting the home run derby is for those players too, because they'll hit, what is it? Sometimes they'll often hit like 20 plus in the first round, and you see the final score is 11-9 or something in the last round because they're just exhausted. But I love the home run derby.
Yeah, so I might see because we'll be recording next Monday. And that'll be while the home run derby is going on.
Nice.
And so I wonder if we can have a live watch of the home run derby. Because I love me some home run derby. It's great. It's fun. I've always enjoyed a little bit of home run derby.
Oh,
sorry. I was pulling up or turning off the Cubs game. But yeah, I love watching a little bit of the home run derby. And so maybe next week while we do a little bit of recording our podcast, that we have a little bit of fun and do a little live watching on the home run derby. I haven't seen who's in it. Have you heard or seen if there's anybody in?
Oh no. Last I knew, there was just some players who said they would do it if asked. I think Mookie Betts is in it.
Ooh.
Home run derby. But while I look this up really quick, because I keep forgetting and I've meant to do this for like a month plus, I think. I have a cousin, Scott C. from Illinois, not Scott C. from Iowa, but Scott C. from Illinois, who started listening to our podcast. Lives just outside of Chicago. I meant to call him out probably 5 weeks ago at this point, and I just keep forgetting about it. But hey, thanks, Scott. Let's see. Julio Rodriguez.
Ooh, I like that pick. I thought I was going to pick him last year.
Right. Julio Rodriguez, Vlad Guerrero Jr., Mookie Betts, Randy Arozarena.
That's my pick.
Pete Alonso, Adley Rutschman.
Okay, for Baltimore.
Orioles, yeah. Luis Robert Jr. Yeah. White Sox. Adolis Garcia. That looks like that's the group. Or at least that's what this one says. So we'll see.
No Christopher Morel? Come on.
Right? Guy would be hitting tanks all over the place.
As Willie Adames just goes yard, puts the...
Anyway, but yeah, that's the home run derby. I like that idea. We can talk while they're hitting dingers.
Yeah. Gosh. Freaking... Here's a live look in. We can watch Willie Adames.
Oh, he went down and got it.
Putting the Brewers up 2-1 in the sixth. So Cubs have some work to do as they finish out game 3 with a 4-game series versus the Brewers. Yeah, that's all we're going to kind of talk about for tonight. It's been a long 4th of July weekend feel
Right.
kind of like
Monday,
brain
number 2.
fog and kind of like a hangover of festivities. So next week we'll have the full gang all back together. We'll have Jake to bring more stats. I don't think we had very many stats in this episode because
Nope, we're numberless without Jake.
Yeah, we're numberless without Jake. We need him.
And Jeff's sneaky numbery. He's got some sneaky stats he likes to throw out
he's a sneaky nerd, so we need Jeff back. But yeah, so thanks for listening. This is episode 126. Make sure you're following us at Dinger Cubs on Twitter, and yeah, go check out the On Tap Sports Network, guys. All right.
Yeah.
Go Cubs. Stuff. Hopefully we can pull one out tonight. Steele can keep shutting them down and we can score some runs. So that does it for episode 126 of the Dingers podcast. Go Cubs.